Welcome back to All Things with Allah. I'm Allah, and today we are at the Macaron Tea Room Kitchen doing our last baking video. After this, our kitchen in the Macaron Tea Room will be closed. I'm going to try to compose myself and not be emotional. After being in business for 6 years, we are closing. It's just, the economy, unfortunately, I can't stay in business without increasing my prices by at least 3, so tripling them, and I can't do that with a clean. I just can't. My heart, I can't do it. So unfortunately, after months and months of praying and talking about it with family and different things like that, we have decided that we will close. So this is my last video here at the Macaron Tea Room Kitchen, and I will be doing our very famous, very popular cream puff swans and eclairs. It's the same dough, it's just about how you pipe it out. So I will walk you through this on how I did it here at the tea room, but you can totally do it at home. I've done these at home in my kitchen at home. So yes, this is my last video. I keep saying ours, but I'm the one and only here, so it is my last video here. But I'm excited for the new chapter that's in my life that God has planned for me, and I'm gonna do it the best that I can. I'm excited to share my recipes from the tea room, from my home kitchen with my home oven. I think that's going to be a plus for you guys, because we will do it more home-like instead of a commercial oven here, what I have at the tea room. Well, with that said, if you are new, welcome. I have several videos here from the Macaron Tea Room Kitchen, but this one's going to be my last. If you're new, like I said, welcome. If you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you do. I would love to hit at least 500 subscribers by Christmas. I think that would be so awesome. Awesome Christmas present. So I would love it if you guys subscribed. Let me know in the comments what you think of the recipe, of my technique. I hope that it helps. If you have any questions, maybe I missed something. And give me a like if you enjoyed my cream puffs and eclairs, how I make them. Oh boy, I'm trying to stay composed, not emotional here, but let's get baking. Let's make these beautiful cream puffs and our eclairs, and I'm doing these actually for our last weekend of being open as well. Right now it is Thanksgiving Day, and I'm here at work, and that's how it is almost all the time. We had our family dinner, and then I'm back here, and I'll be here quite a while. So I'm preparing for our Black Friday and Saturday, and at the same time, that will be our last weekend open. Yes. Okay. Let's get started on making this cream puff swans and eclairs. Petit choux, as they call it. Let's make some petit choux. You will need a scale, a pot, butter, water, milk, salt, and sugar for the first part. I do have a recipe. I will post it. I know, shocking, I have a recipe. So this particular, you can't eyeball it. I don't recommend using cups. I only recommend, just like macarons, there are certain pastries, I could say, certain pastries you have to use a scale for. Eclairs, cream puff swans, petit choux, that's the name of the dough, is one of them. So we are going to use a scale. I put my pot right on the scale. I'm going to put my butter right in there. So I need 390 grams of butter, and I use unsalted sweet butter. If you use salt butter, if that's what you have, just add a little bit more sugar to it. I don't think it'll make a big difference. Or do this. I don't add salt to it. So for this particular recipe, I add about a teaspoon of salt and a tablespoon of sugar. Skip the salt if you have salted butter. All right, 390 grams. We're just going to chop it right in there. 380, 90, 92. It's okay. A little bit over this way, a little bit over that way. It's no big deal. And then we will need 400 grams of water, 400 grams of milk. I usually like to use the whole milk, but this is what I have, so this is what we're going to use. It does not make a huge difference. All right. Come on, tare. So I press tare on my scale, and it'll bring it down to 0. Why is it being weird? Okay. So 400 grams. If you're not comfortable pouring this right in, just pour it into a different ramekin and then just dump it all in. So 400. Boop. Okay. And then 400 of our water. Can tare, or if you just do mad, do till it gets to 800. Either way. And 400. Okay. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of salt, tablespoon of sugar. And we're going to get it on the stove. We're going to put this right on here like this. Turn it on. Okay. Sprinkle our salt. And then a tablespoon of sugar. Need a wooden spoon. Make sure you guys are using a wooden spoon to mix this in. While this is starting to come to a boil, I put it right on my, I guess you could say your stove at home, put it in at the highest temperature and just keep an eye on it. But while this is doing what it's doing, I normally will go and prep my eggs and my flour. This is a really simple base for your petit choux. I think it took me a while to get it, and the funny thing is I kept screwing up my flour. So you want to do, on your flour, you're going to do, let's see, let me remember this. I got to look at the recipe, but it's pastry flour and high gluten flour mixed together. You don't want to do all-purpose flour or just high gluten flour. You want to do a ratio of 1 towards the other. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure we have enough eggs here. Just 8 eggs. Room temperature, of course. Every now and then, we're just going to mix it. All right, we come back. All right, starting to bubble. Yay! You definitely don't want to like walk away where you don't have it in your eyesight. You want to keep an eye on it so it doesn't overbubble, overflow, make a hot mess. Gently stir. You see how it's rising? That's a good thing. We want it to rise. We want the water to evaporate. Don't like get scared and run away. Keep your spoon in there. Turn it down a little bit if you need to. But you want it to bubble for a few minutes, maybe like 2. I'm going to look at the time here and time it. Just gently mix. Let it do its thing. I know it looks scary. As long as your spoon is in there and you're mixing, it will not go over. Use a wooden spoon. Very, very important. There's a science to it, why it has to be a wooden spoon. And I don't know it, but I just do what I'm told. And I was told to use a wooden spoon. A lot of the recipes that I watched, a lot of the pastry chefs that I watched, they all use a wooden spoon. So I will too, and I will tell you as well. All right, it's been exactly 2 minutes, you guys. We're gonna shut it off. And we're gonna go get our flour and add it right into this. Our mixture is 60% gluten flour and then 40% pastry flour. I get my flour from Amish country, this grocery store. Absolutely love it. Let me show you up close. But I think, honestly, any brand is fine. So we need flour, 400 grams. 400 grams of flour. Doing my math, 60%, 40%. You want to make, I normally make a big batch of this flour, and then I just do my grams in here. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll add the grams into here. My flour is all mixed in here. So again, we're doing 60 of the high, what is it called? High gluten flour, 60, if you're doing 100%, right? So 60% high gluten, 40% pastry. And then we're gonna need, for our pâte à choux, 400 grams of flour. You wanna sift it. Need more. There we go. I'm going to sift it right into my mixing bowl here. I turned it off just so that I can get my flour in here. We dump our flour right in. This goes in the freezer right away. Mix real quick. Pop it in the freezer as fast as you can. Turn this back on to medium, and we're going to mix. Again, I'm showing you guys this in real time, so you know exactly what to look for. Going to get your workout a little bit, especially if you're making a large batch like we do. Just keep mixing it. Let it cook over. Okay, it's about done. So I want to have, as you guys can see, there is like this film on the bottom. That's what you want to have. And I've had it for a while. and I usually let it kind of cook in there for a few minutes. I would say about 3 minutes. I've been kind of watching the clock. So it's been about 3-4 minutes that you're kind of letting it cook over. I should say just cook. Okay, we're gonna shut this off. We're gonna grab our mixing bowl and we're gonna dump it right into our mixing bowl. Just like that. It should all come out just like that. This is what you're looking for. Your pot should look like this. We are going to get a paddle attachment. I start with my paddle attachment that's no rubber. I like to have the ones with the rubber for my creams and stuff, and when I cream it, I'll do it. But for this part, no rubber. You're going to turn it on for a few minutes and let it go. We're just going to let it mix. I'm going to time it, but I believe I'm going to do it for about 7 minutes, just like this. In this bowl, we're going to do it for 7 minutes. Let it mix. If you guys want to put a timer on, then do it. It has been mixing for 7 minutes, and I wanted to show you guys what it looks like. Now we're going to go grab our bowl that we have in the freezer. I got my bowl out of the freezer, and I'm just going to switch out bowls. This will help when we dump our eggs in to prevent them from cooking. Because if you feel this, when you guys are doing it, it's pretty warm and you don't want to cook your eggs. We're just going to scrape all this off. Put that to the side. Whoop. Actually, this is where I switched to my paddle attachment that has the rubber around it. Why don't I use the rubber one right away? I have melted it before because this gets really hot. So I don't do that anymore. Okay. And then I dump all my eggs in at once. I know some do it where they mix the eggs, and some pastry chef I've seen where they will do one egg at a time, all that good stuff. I don't. Just dump it all in, work my way up on my speed, and that's it. While this is going, I'm going to go and check on my oven, which should be preheating. I have it mixing at about a 4. I'm going to turn it off and check on it, and I think I'm going to add one more egg to it. It kind of depends on your egg size. So I always start with 8 eggs, and then I see what it looks like. And if I need to add more, I will add more. But I never add more than 1 at a time. So I have my 1 egg in here, and we're just going to add it. Mix it much better. So when I put the in there, you want it to, it's not supposed to, mine doesn't drip off, you guys. I kind of look at the consistency on how thick it is. And I'm gonna add 1 more egg, but I don't like it where I'm picking it up and it's dripping off like you do with macaron batter. No, I don't. Mine doesn't do that. So I think the eggs are pretty small this time. I'm not sure if I got the small eggs or what, but usually I have large eggs, but these are pretty small. So this one took 10 eggs. Mix, mix, mix. Okay, I like this much better. This is what, yes, that I like. I've seen recipes, like I said, where it like droops right off. Mine are different, so I don't know. Try it. Hopefully you guys will like it. But we are going to be making, this is the same dough batter, I guess you could say, I use to make cream puff swans, eclairs, and get this to piping. For our tips, so I will use, this is an 824, looks like this. This is for my swan bodies. This is what I use. This is for my swan heads. This is a Wilton's 12. And then for my eclairs, I use a 865. We have 3 separate tips here for our, so I'll use a smaller bag for my swan heads. Put your tip right in there. I'm not making a lot, so I won't need too much. We're just gonna put a few spoonfuls of the batter right in there. Get your handy dandy clips out. I got these at IKEA. I'm sure Amazon has them, any grocery store has them. I think these are the best. Okay, and then we're going to use a larger bag for our eclairs and swan heads. So here we have our eclairs. Yes, I will be doing a macaron tutorial video soon, probably from my home, but it will be soon. So we have our eclairs in here, and then for our swan bodies, we're gonna put about half of this in here. A little clip. And this is for our eclairs. The rest of it will go in there. I like to use my macaron mats. You can use parchment paper or any mat, I think will work just fine. I wanted to show you guys the swan heads and then the swans. I wanted to show you. So you're gonna do basically a number 2 and then your little beak on there. So a number 2 and then a little beak. The size of these you will have to figure out because it depends on how big you are going to be making your swans. I already know how big I'm making my swans, but sometimes I do, so this is our regular size swans. Sometimes I do mini swans and sometimes I do huge swans. So you will have to figure out how big of a head you need for the size of the swan you are going to be making. it comes apart, it's all right. Just go back. Pretty easy. This is your head. You want to make sure you have that two going because that's what's going to go inside the body to hold the head. I can get a couple more on here. This is going to go for now to the side, and we're going to start on the next. We have the swan bodies. So you're basically going to squeeze a little star and then you're going to pull it like that. So we're going to squeeze and then pull. Squeeze going up and then pull. So squeeze going up, put down, and then pull. Squeeze. As I'm squeezing, I'm kind of pulling up my bag and then I put it down to pull it. You want to give it some space. They do grow, but this is plenty. Use our scraper to get the rest of this out. Squeeze it all out. Okay. I did put the rest of that batter that was left from the swan heads into my eclair batter. And now we're going to be doing our eclairs. Our swans and our swan heads are over there, just waiting on our eclairs. So the way I measure my size from the eclairs is I'll go from end to end. So from end to end. There's different ways you can measure if you don't care about size. And when I do minis, I'll do from here to here. But this is how I measure it. I've seen different techniques, but this one works for me and it works great. So we're going to go just like that. And I do this little swoop at the end because that's me. And I need to have a little of meat in them. And meat is a little swoop at the end. I've seen pastry chefs where they use one of these and they cut it. I don't. You're going to go as slow as you can. Try to keep it as much of a same consistency as possible as you're squeezing. I try to keep them as much the same size as I possibly can, but I don't think anybody's going to be measuring it with a tape measure exactly if they're all the same size. So you just want to make sure you give them enough space to breathe. This is going to be my last one. Might not be as pretty because we had to stop because we had an air bubble, but that's okay. Here we go. Now, this is going to go away to the side, and I actually put powdered sugar on all of this right before it goes into the oven. So just like this. Nothing's fancy. Regular powdered sugar. Nothing special. Now they're just going to go in the oven, just like that. We have our oven preheated at 325. So you guys at home preheat at 350. We're going to get our swan heads in here. Well, no, swan bodies. And then we're going to do the swan heads. And eclairs will go in here. We're gonna close it. My particular oven is weird, so I have to turn it. I don't know why. Maybe yours at home is this way as well, but I'm gonna put it on here for 30 minutes and then I will churn it if I need to. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Depends on how long I've been baking in it. So that's just how it is. But I'm gonna put it for 30 minutes and then check on it. We have been baking and this is what's left. I wanted to show you guys. Oh, steam came out on my phone. Give you an update on our swan heads. So this is something you guys have to watch because they don't need as much baking time. So I'm gonna churn our swan heads. I think they will need about 10 more minutes. Okay, one hand. Very hard to do, but I got it. I got it. The rest of them look great. We're going to close it. Let it do its thing. You got to move quick. You don't want to get all the steam out. We have, what, 12, 13 minutes left. I've been watching my heads and they are ready to come out. So I'm going to pull them out quickly and close this. And we are going to go check on them again. That's the time that's left. I am going to churn them actually now. Okay, our eclairs and swans are done. They look great. Now they're just gonna go and cool off for a few hours. I will do a voiceover for my cream. So now we're doing the cream. This is the heavy whipping cream I use. And it doesn't really matter on the brand. You just want to make sure that the heavy whipping cream is cold. We're going to add 1 cup of powdered sugar to the 38 ounce of cold heavy whipping cream. And then we're just going to get it to mix. My favorite little tip and that I love to do is I put saran wrap over my mixing bowl. This way I can get it on a high speed and it mixes much quicker and it doesn't make a mess. You can use saran wrap, you can use a damp towel. You just want to make sure that you cover it, that it doesn't spill, that it doesn't spill out. Even a garbage bag works, but honestly, the saran wrap works the best in my personal opinion. We are getting our tips out and preparing our swan bodies. So the swan bodies have been cooling for a few hours. You want to make sure they are completely cool. See that, guys? Easy cleanup. I love that tip. We are going to be adding 1 tablespoon of vanilla bean paste. I love this vanilla bean paste. I use it in a lot of my recipes. It's really, really good. This is the tip that I will be using to pipe out my swan bodies, B1, so Wilton's B1. But honestly, any star tip I think works great. So we're going to cut a little bit off the top. I would say 1/4 off the top. Put your swans facing back and then cut your wings in half. So we're going to do this one more time. So we have our swans. The pointy part is the back. So that's going to go towards the back. And then align your swan wings the way you took them off when you cut them off, and then put them right behind it. I find it if you keep it organized like this, then you won't get confused which wings go with which bodies. So I think this works really well. And then I will prep all of my swan bodies and get my cream into my bag so that I can pipe. But again, we're just cutting off 1/4 and then cutting it in half, the swan wings. Okay, the cream is almost done. Needs a few more minutes. You want the cream to be really nice and stiff. That's very, very important. All right, removing our swan heads, our number twos. I always like to make extra because sometimes they will break when I put them in or when I even take them off. This is what you want. This cream is stiff and it's great. And this is the kind of consistency you want. Get your cream in the bag, put your little clip on the bag. You always want to have a clip on your back, you guys, on your bags. You don't want it coming out. And then we just pipe our cream right into our swans. Be generous with the cream. You want it showing when you are going to when you're going to put your wings on top. So you want to show the cream so that it looks pretty. So just be generous when you guys are piping. And just like that, you stick the two right into the cream and it looks like a head. That's why it's important to have that number two. That's the best way to keep it nice and sturdy. Just like that. Squeeze in. And that's it. Pretty simple, as long as you have all your components correct. Like your number two is right and your cream is nice and thick. So all those things make a big difference. Again, it's just heavy whipping cream, cold, with powdered sugar and vanilla bean paste. That's it. I think a lot of times what people with heavy whipping cream forget or don't do right is they don't mix it long enough, or you can overmix it. So it's just important to keep an eye on it. Just like that. Look at that. Perfect. These will be, I think, a hit at any party or any event. I know for sure they are with us when we make them. And then to top it off, I like to put powdered sugar on top. And we do this right before we serve it or right before we put it in the case. So this is something you would do right before you serve it at your party or your event. Just top it off with a little bit of powdered sugar. It just makes it such a big difference. They are yummy. I think the cream is not very sweet, so it is very, just overall a great dessert to have. Perfect. Okay, now it's time to make cream for our eclairs using the same heavy whipping cream, making sure it's nice and cold. We are going to be we're going to be adding powdered sugar, and this particular is only a half a cup because we're going to be adding Bavarian cream to it. So you don't need as much powdered sugar because the Bavarian cream is sweet as it is. Get it all on the mixing, and then of course don't forget that saran wrap because we do not need a big mess. I just can't stress enough how much this has helped me to keep it clean, and I can get it at full speed. And I find that the whipping cream, when it's at full speed right away, it mixes better. I don't know what it is, but it just does. It mixes so much quicker, so much better, and the consistency is really thick. So this is the Bavarian cream that I use. I will link a recipe down of when I make it from scratch, the one that I use from scratch. But this one we buy just because it's cheaper for us because we go through so much of it, and you can even buy it in the store as well. I really like this brand, and I really like this Bavarian cream. It's really, really good. So you see that cream? It is almost thick. You want it as just as thick as when we made the cream for the cream puffs. We're going to be adding two big, almost, you see they're full, two big full cups of the Bavarian cream to this heavy whipping cream. And then we're just going to mix it all again. Don't overmix this goes pretty quick. Don't overmix it. And then I actually finish up with my spatula. I'm always very scared of overmixing it. This is the tip that I will be using to fill my eclairs. So put that in our bag there. And I make 3 holes with my tip that I'm filling, 3 holes right in the back, And then I just squeeze my cream right inside. There are different ways that you can fill the eclairs. I've seen people where they cut the bottoms off or cut the tops off. In fact, I will be cutting the tops off when I make the coffee ones, but these are my original ones. This is my original cream that I make. That is always a big hit, and this is how I fill it. So again, just 3 holes in the back, and then we squeeze the cream in. 3 holes in the back, and then I squeeze the cream in. So now I'm making my coffee so it's the same cream, and then I'm just gonna add coffee to my cream. This is instant coffee, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it on top, kind of look at what I think it should look like. I honestly, you guys, I did about 2 teaspoons. That was what I did about. It totally looked like 2 teaspoons to me. But go by taste, start off a little bit, see if you like it. I like mine strong and customers really like it. This is the tip that I'm using to pipe the cream onto my eclairs. And this particular eclairs, I will actually be cutting off the tops. So just 1/4, I'm cutting off a little bit off the top, putting it next to it. Again, just a little bit off the top. Some of the eclairs sometimes have like more dough inside, so I will scrape it out. And then I'm just piping it out. Whatever design, you're comfortable with piping, you just want to be generous. I mean, not to the point where it's coming out of all ends, but generous where it's covering up the eclair. You don't want to have anything empty. And then we're going to put the tops back on top. I'm going to put them together because I want to decorate them. So I have some melting chocolate. I'm just going to do some swirls on top. Just no particular order, just random, nothing fancy. And then I'm going to put some gold beads on top of that just to give it some flair. I always think of coffee for some reason. I think of chocolate and gold. So now I'm preparing my chocolate for my original. I have milk chocolate, white chocolate in there, and dark chocolate. And then I'm going to dip my original eclairs right in there. I just love the swirl and the contrast of the 3 different chocolates and the flavor that it gives on the eclairs. Sometimes I've done just dark, sometimes I've done just milk. But today I'm decided that I'm going to do all 3. Just gently tip, tip. And I'm also going to sprinkle a little bit of my white beads on there, or white pearls. And it is fall. So I'm going to put some edible leaves on top. This is rice paper, and it just makes it so much more prettier. And then, of course, you guys know me. It needs to have some bling. So we're going to do some edible gold powder. And I'm just going to do it on like a little bit of the sides there. Just a little bit. I don't know. I just love this stuff. It's so shiny. It's so pretty. And we first eat with our eyes, so they have to be pretty. And here they are, all beautiful and ready for our case, or in your case, maybe for your guests. Thank you so much for being here. I am so happy I could share this recipe with you. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or you're having some troubleshooting issues, let me know in the comments. I will do my best to help you. I am a self-taught baker, so I have made a lot of mistakes, so I can definitely help you with that. Thank you again for being here, and have a blessed day. Till next time.